Okay, hello guys. Are you able to hear me out?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. This is great. So we'll wait for another uh, 2 to 3 minutes. Hi Anil, welcome aboard. Hi Akash. Hi Edurado. Hi Gaurav. Hi Mrityunjay.
And
Yeah. So yes. So we'll be recording this session, and there is a certificate and a voucher after the session available, and we'll tell you how to get that out. So just wait for, let me open up the first slide so that we should be okay to start with. Just tell me, inform me once you see my screen. You guys are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, cool, cool. Okay, so let's wait for another 2 minutes as usual. Let's wait for a few more people. Hi, Steve. Uh, and then we'll start meeting. Welcome lock meeting. No, it's okay. Good. So we're just waiting for other few folks to join, and then we'll start. So just give me a moment. Let me see everything is working perfectly as usual. Can anyone update me if says this meeting is being recorded? Mitunji, you were able to see. Hi, Mohammed.
yeah, recording is in progress.
Okay, cool then. Yeah. So just another 1 minute, max to max 1 minute, and then we'll start. So alternatively, you can, as I said, you can view here, but obviously we are facing few issues with streams, but you can view the same session here at fifthir.com, and this is the place where you actually claim your certificate. So um, the same thing is happening here. You can once the session finishes, you can put your name, phone number, email here, and then I will pass on the secret code, and you can apply for certificates. If you see there are issues, you can connect to this Telegram channel, ping us, and we'll try to resolve that ASAP. There may be some intermediate issue that may come, but I think we have to retry and it will work. We'll sort that out. So this is the, just note it down for the future reference, 5thir.com. This is the URL where you will be requesting the certificate, and also the voucher will come based on a lottery, based on how many people applied, how much voucher we have, what was the rate, who applied first, and so on. Uh, Ideally, we provide the vouchers from Alibaba Cloud, which you can claim here, edu.alibaba cloud academy. We are also trying to add more voucher from different other companies, but you can search for Alibaba Cloud Academy. You can register here, and the certification that will provide, you will be able to get that or claim that free here, and you can do that certification in a day, because there are small certifications, and that takes around 3 to 4 hour or 5 hour max to complete, and you get a clouder voucher, clouder certificate like this one. So I will show you. Okay, my LinkedIn is not login, but on my LinkedIn profile you can see it's Anjani Kumar. Anyway, so let's start. I believe we are now right on time. So hello everybody, and this is our one of the Alibaba Cloud specific session, but obviously as our motto is to discuss on multi-cloud, so the session is also uh, based and styled in a way that it suffices the need of everybody, just not one cloud platform, but for all the cloud platform. But most of our Sunday session are mostly dedicated with a specific time, a specific area on exploring and understanding different proposition of Alibaba Cloud along with other cloud platform. So let's start the show then. So just give me a moment. I will, yeah. So I believe everyone is able to see the screen, right? I'm just asking again before I start. So you see, there is a one quote, right? So the quote that I wrote and that I understood and because of my past experience as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, and for us, like money is the one very important thing because if we go out of budget, things can go haywire. And because with an entrepreneur, we are also a technologist, so we understand how to manage and balance the both, and that's the basic need of the day today for any startup. When you start your business, start your journey in and providing IT solution products or something which is specifically related to cloud. As you have heard, those who have joined my past session have already mentioned and proposed multiple time that the cloud is like a taxi service, right? So if you are on the taxi, it's going to charge you. Similarly, if you're doing something on the cloud, it's going to charge you for each and every tit and bit that you do. And that's why this statement that it came in my mind after my long experience is cloud storage is awesome when you use it smartly. Else, it's an onboarding which has a costly flyback option. So even if you try to come out from a cloud proposition, it will cost you a lot because you would have already hosted a lot of data there, and so you need to manage everything frugally, smartly. Then only you will be able to achieve the real benefit of cloud. Today's session is on using cloud frugally from the storage provider perspective, and that's where we are going to discuss how we can do it. And obviously we'll go through the Alibaba cloud storage, object storage, and what we have implemented it and how you can implement it into multiple cloud storage provider. So about the session, so if you talk about, this is me, Anjani Kumar. I am Alibaba Cloud MVP and a multi-cloud for you founder. I have multi-decades of direct service to the IT industry. I'm ex-Publicis, RBS. I have been a direct employee of Microsoft in the past, multiple NGOs, government, and multiple corporates. Needless to mention everything here, you can go on my LinkedIn profile is Anjani K. Kumar and find it out all. If we talk about certification, like it was even that's a challenge, and I'm not sure many of my friends would have completed it out, but within a month, when I just tried, I got around 30, 40 uh, basic learning certificates. That's still a number which many people has to crunch on. I'm the principal architect for multi-cloud for you, and this is our inaugural offer on the site where you can register free, create your account, watch our video live session or the past stream session. And if you have any issues, because there are some caching issues that happens, so you can go into help and FAQ section, and then you can obviously find out more reason to solve it. And we always have a Telegram channel, which I showed you earlier. Where do you get the certificate? So this is the URL, https, I would say fifthIR.com. You can use the secure server, and then if you have any issues, you can go to this Telegram link. You can search for multi-cloud for you in Telegram, in your Telegram app, and join, and you can talk on any issues or anything or finding, or if you are on the stream directly. uh, this is our YouTube channel. You can subscribe by scanning it right away or whenever you see the video in the future, and you can join our YouTube channel where all the sessions are recorded and then posted. Maybe it takes time because now we have added up certificates and a lot of things, so there are complexity to it. But yeah, why are we doing this session? So this is our primary motivations are, the first of all, anyone who gives the session here on our platform is not a professional trainer. So you will have to find out the differentiation between the trainers. For professional trainer, take the package, give you a training. So what we are seasoned practitioner. We have multi-years or multi-decades of experience in the industry. We have worked with the client, we have worked with the businesses, we have worked in the corporate, we have worked with multinationals, and most of us are working in multinational. So, so the biggest problem that we face today is when we hire new people, we do not find the talent to work, correct talent to work with us. And then there is again confusion on how you interview people, what you want to get, and what you are interviewing. So there are a lot of gaps between the people who are trying to join the industry, people who are already in the industry, and then trying to take a jump or trying to move onto their career path, and everyone faces a lot of problem and challenges to synchronize everyone together, so that everyone stands on a single platform. There is optimism between the people, because as you have also been a multi-clouder, I am also being a multi-clouder, and many of us has been multi-clouder. There would be a respect between the people because they come from a single community, and become easy for them to get on a next job or next opportunity. Therefore, we have opened up this platform, and as it's being endorsed by many uh, experienced guys from Microsoft, from Publicis, from Oracle, from AWS, from Alibaba Cloud. The company that you name it, and either someone would have come or will be coming soon. And he's a senior guy, he's a senior architect, technologist on the platform. So enhance the capacity of innovation, reciprocate what you have learned in the industry, and lower the entry barriers of newcomers. So whatever we have learned from the past, the mistake that we have done, whatever the learning that we have done, we are just trying to display it here. So agenda for today, the overview. I will be trying to I will give you the overview of what we are trying to depict today. Why multi-cloud storage? Why not a single cloud storage? Why do we need to think around it? Obviously, for a corporate, there may be multiple reasons to not go to multi-cloud storage. But for the startups, for the people who are starting doing business, just started, or maybe MSME kind of industry, it's a very needy thing. It's a need of the day. Who are the provider? Pitfalls. Why you are thinking about multi-cloud storage? Why and code? We'll share the code. Um, I will share the code means doesn't mean that I will share the code directly, because that's our own corporate code. But I will give you all the idea on how to structure that code, and later there's still the decision is pending between our partners and peers. So when we are going to make it public or open source, but if that decision happens, we'll make that open source so that more people can add in, or else we'll at least provide it as a service so anyone can consume it. Key takeaways, question and answer. Overview. So introduction to cloud storage. So if you talk about cloud storage, so obviously you can store the data at different layers. One of the layer where you can store the data is on the file storage on your laptop, machine, desktop, or in your company server, wherever it has been kept. That's called in premises. You may have a data center internally at your company level. That's also in premises. You may choose to store at a service provider level. That can be something between cloud and in premises. And then you choose to store at a public cloud. That's on the cloud. And now if you need to mix it together, that's become hybrid. And if you need to get a service from cloud, the whole system and the machine stored on your at your local premises, it becomes a private cloud. So there are different ways to store the data based on the regulatory requirement that is there in the industry. But the one of the way to understand is like, what are the different cloud storage models that we are properly at this point of time following. Is the virtual disk on the cloud. This storage can be implemented in numerous way. For example, DAS, disk attached storage, is generally used to implement direct attached storage. It is generally used to implement instance storage. It is often stated as a formal storage, as the storage is highly reliable, however attached to your VM and works like a physical disk. So whenever you create a VM on the cloud and you feel like there are two disk or one disk storage attached to it, is the virtual disk on the cloud. Then there's a volume storage, SAN. That's another disk, extra disk that you add. It's a block storage. It's a storage based on a storage area network, and that is fast, and that can become a formal storage system drive. where your more operating system and codes are there, and that can be easily uh, uh, mm, that can be easily copied, easily backed up, easy a snapshot can be taken, because disk mirroring is possible between different drive in the SAN, and that's also depends upon the notification SAN 10, SAN 5, what are the specification for SAN system is there. And then there is a network attached storage, and there are ISKC, soft NAS. There are multiple way to handle that out, and there are multiple implementation that has been. I am not sure how many people have used the Azure storage service, but if you would have used the Azure storage service, you would have seen that there is a way, or even the AWS storage service, you would have seen that there is a way to create your bucket or create your directory that is there in the cloud as a separate network drive on your local machine. There is a simple script that you can run, and console script that you can run, and then you can create that out. PowerShell script, I would say, as a storage drive. So this all magic is being done through the soft NAS and iSCSI, and also the block storage that you see, the object storage that you see, the Alibaba cloud storage that I'm going to talk about today, the S3 bucket, all NAS. Different implementation of NAT. There are different ways to talk about it. Once we dive deep into a storage, we'll try to understand more around it. Let me go to the. Okay, so I have tried to make it in a little simple way. So object storage is a solution. It's mostly API driven. So object storage, the benefit of using object storage in the cloud, either is object storage service of Alibaba, S3, or Azure Blob Storage, is more around is something which is completely API driven. You can do API call, simple REST API call, and you can retrieve the data, get the data, work with the data. Then the file storage, as I talked about, is Amazon Elastic File Service, Azure File, Network Drive are the example. And then there is block storage, when your computer need very fast low latency storage. Let's say these all are storage are mostly independent system which you can use. The object storage is like independent system which is more API driven, and obviously there are tools to connect to it and work with it, but it's mostly API driven in the background. But if we talk about block storage, it is there remaining, it's there in the data center, it's very fast, it's nearest to the ECS or the virtual machine, and that can be attached directly as a block with your virtual machine or elastic compute service, wherever you are trying to create that, either in Azure, AWS, Alibaba, DigitalOcean, Linode, anywhere. So but that's your ephemeral storage, that's the fastest storage that you have, where your most of the operating system and everything is there. And why block storage is needed? Because it can easily be copied, easily be backed up, and there is a less data loss, chances of less data loss. File storage is another option, which is I have talked about EFS and Azure File. It works like a file storage, the traditional file storage. You can play with it very easily. Now, next to that, how do you ideally store in your application? So local cache data on local disk and CDN. This is one thing. CDN is obviously content delivery network. So anything that you are locally caching, that can be stored on your server partly on the CDN, and that can be delivered to the client. Uh, that can be that's mostly temporarily. Cloud file server based backend storage. Let's say there are a lot of files being written to your application. These files need to be stored at. So guys, my speed is okay. Are you able to understand what I am trying to say, or
Yeah,
can
yeah.
it's okay, right? Okay, some more people are loading in the lobby. Just uh, So I'm unlocking meeting so that more people can join. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Bhaskar. So then cloud file server based backend storage, data that are being processed by the application can be large and huge based on load, and it needs elasticity to cater the load. We talk a lot about big data, data lake system. There are system which are taking more and more data in terms of streams. There are multiple ways to take data in the back in your databases, right? So whenever it's more and more data, you need to think about a bigger elastic kind of storage strategy. And those elastic kind of storage strategy these days are the easiest to implement, and that can be done through the storage services that the most of these cloud provider provide. OSS is there, S3 is there, even the block storage that I talked about, that's also elastic. You can do it. So there you need a persistent storage. But again, now it's cloud. So there is a cost involved to it. Anything that you are doing to cloud now, unless and until it was locally cached under your disk and a CDN, there was a monthly cost or there was a specific cost which was little cheap. But now when it's gone into cloud, when the data has been put into the cloud, then obviously there is a cost involved, and that's where we have to understand how to safeguard it. Archival
Sure.
storage or
So
cloud
this was
on-premises,
okay. Just
can you go on mute?
no fresh insolvency proceedings will be initiated
Someone
of the
can
company
go into mute.
for MSMEs, which is again an important step for MSMEs.
Um, uh, okay, guy has gone on mute. Thank you, man. So archival storage on cloud in premises, storing data less frequently used on a hot volume is really costly. So there are concept in storage, the hot and the cold, and then there is a glacier kind of thing that once we go into pure cloud storage session, we'll talk about availability, durability, and how different type of storage works. But hot is charging it as is charged at the highest rate. Then there is a core which is charged at the lowest lower rate, and then there is a glacier which charges a very less rate. But when you retrieve the data, again there is a cost involved to it. So storing data less frequently used on the hot volume is really costly. Shift to a cold volume or archival solution. That's the way you can save the cost. So pitfall. So what are the pitfall and why we thought about multi-cloud storage providers? So different pricing based on storage calls and bandwidth. So I will give you an example. So this is the data that I took it from the Alibaba Cloud website. Alibaba Cloud website, there is a storage class, as I talked about, standard storage, and this is mostly about the block storage or the object storage service that we talked about. So 0 to 5 GB is free. So if you put some data there until 5 GB, it's going to be free. After that, it will cost you US dollar 0.0200. It's very less. It will cost you 0.0200 per GB, and then similarly for other storage, it will cost you 0.2220. Similarly, if you talk about Azure, it says first 50 terabyte per month, rupees 9.9144. It will, if you calculate, it will come around the same number or little same to it. Then on the hot, it's rupees 12162 per GB. And then in the cool, it's 0.66097 per GB. So it's in rupees. So it was in dollar. This is in rupees. And then archival is the cost. Now this is the cost that you are seeing at the front is just for the storage. It's not just the only cost you will get once you create your storage. There are other things involved to it. I'm just giving you the comparison at the storage level. And then you have AWS ST, which S3, which has 50 terabyte per month, and it gives you at $0.00023 per GB. Similarly, DigitalOcean has a different price. So DigitalOcean is smart here because it's again it's evolving company. This is a long old company, but they have managed to stage themselves at a specific layer or level. So there here it says that simple $5 per month price and include 250 GB of storage and 1 terabyte of outbound bandwidth. So now DigitalOcean has gone frugal and smart, and it's really giving you a good option for at least for startups. $5 per month price, including 250 GB of storage and 1 terabyte of outbound bandwidth. Everything is there. It's a pack. So if you have more storage, you can move on to DigitalOcean. But how will you be able to move from one place to another? How will you manage cost? So that's one thing that you will have to understand. Similarly, GCP, I've given an example, and now GCP is giving free for one year for many of the beginner storage user. So there are different options and there are different festival offer that keeps on coming from different provider, and you need to be smart to handle that out. So another factor which is more important is the bandwidth. And bandwidth, why? I will tell you, I'll give you an example later once we go into the coding side. So 0 to 5 GB is free for Alibaba Cloud. Then for 5 GB to 10 TB is US dollar 0.080 per GB, and then from 10 TB to 50 TB, it's US dollar 0.072 GB. Again, it's very frugal. Then Azure, you have rupees 1.1567. Everyone has a different pricing option per 10,000 requests. Still, it's very low cost, but at the time when the volume increases, it becomes costly. When the hits increases, it becomes costly, and there are chances that one cloud provider may go down. There has been recent issues with Google Cloud Provider, and we have heard about Azure also, we've heard about AWS also. But if you talk about Azure, they claim it that their storage is highest durable based on the 0.999 percentage. But we haven't heard about Alibaba Cloud going down. But this can happen to any cloud provider. So you will have to be frugal there to understand how, and you will have to be more technical to understand how to deal with. So how we are built for, so storing, deleting, retrieving the data. So everything is a call, REST call, right? So the put call is for putting the data there into the storage. Get call is for getting the data. And just think about someone is trying to retrieve hundred of files from your server. uh, every minute, get call will increase. And for the cloud provider, every call is chargeable, so they will charge you. Post call is again for changing the uh, uh, changing the authorization level. Let's say the first you put the data which is completely secure or private, then you try to change it to read only, or maybe you try to change it to read write. Every time you do a call, there will be bandwidth involved, there will be request involved, and many of the cloud provider charges little differently, but it's almost come out to be almost similar. Then integration means API, speed means accelerator. Want to do on the fly editing on image, changing and access. So many cloud provider, like Alibaba cloud provider, what is it has done is like they give you multiple solution in their storage. One is that on the fly, if you are trying to store your image, you can crop that image. You can put a what do you say? You can put a watermark to the image. You can also check the image for if that there is like there's AI based system available where you can check the image for if the image um, uh, is not allowed as per your policy. There are multiple ways. Then bandwidth adds to the cost, and obviously bandwidth also adds to the cost. So that's another I've talked about. And why? So why multi-cloud storage? So benefit and value provision is like as I talked about. There is uh, there is a way I said like about Google. Like Google is providing a free storage for 1 year. How do you get that out? So the way you build your application, the beauty is hidden inside it. If you build your application or provider correctly, or if you are connecting to the cloud correctly at the first time, you will be able to reap out the benefit of each and everything. And that's where you can make more and more take benefit of these storage providers, different cloud provider, and still you can keep your costs lower or almost free. Obviously, it's not possible. I would say that everything is going to be get free, but it can be done. And the beauty is hidden in solid principles. So solid, if you remember, I have there is a specific recording I will give you at the end on solid. I gave to my team based on the concept, and many of you must be knowing and experience with solid principle. But the benefit that solid provide when you design your system is like you can it can easily help you to incrementally integrate all storage. So let's say if you have one storage provider, let's say I have integrated Alibaba cloud storage today and I need to add DigitalOcean to it, I can easily do it. Similarly, silent edition at backend, I can add up more and more storage provider at the backend. And similarly, client service just has to change the key or nothing. So the client service provider just has to do nothing, but simply they can change the key and that can work. So team can develop, maintain, and deploy each storage independently, attach as a new provider. When you talk about when you talk about how to incrementally integrate all your storage, and then silent edition and backend. So no change at interface level. You don't have to do any changes interface level. And to do that, you can use Liskov substitution and interface segregation. Further thing can be worked out onto dependency injection and dependency inversion based on the need. How do you code it? How big your team is? How strong your team is? That all depends upon it. But I will today give you an example based on Liskov and interface segregation. Uh, client service just has to change the key or nothing. So what I'm saying is at the client layer where your implementation is, you just have to change the key, or even that also is going to be seamless. You client is going to call, simply do a put request, and doesn't matter where it goes, whether it goes to the Alibaba cloud, whether it goes to the Azure, whether it goes to AWS S3 bucket, or whether it goes to anywhere. Okay, so no issues. You can simply, sky is the limit. You can simply keep on adding based on the new benefits coming up by different storage provider, and you can simulate that. You can also segregate, or you can also manage the load between multiple cloud storage providers. So let's say for some of the data you can pass it to Alibaba cloud storage. For some of the data you can pass it to Azure storage. For some of the data you can pass it to AWS simultaneously at the same point of time. So based on the need, based on the application which are being installed. Let's say some application are hosted on Alibaba Cloud, some application are hosted on AWS. So you can do it. Facade further calls the interface, which later decide which provider to call. So there is a facade layer which calls the interface. So there's like the UI or the application never knows, or the front end API services, microservices never know where the call is going or who is going to store it. And that's the everything, either retrieval of data or putting the data, the responsibility is at the storage provider level or a layer above it. So how do we do it? So I created this basic diagram. I didn't made it complex lot. There are a lot of other complexity involved into it. But to make you understand, there are multiple client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4, client 5. And to understand these client are applications that we make, the front end application. Don't understand it, don't get confused with the client that comes on our web browser, or we just as an end user client. Just think about the application front end application that we build, or maybe React application, or any application app that we are building here. Then there's a load balancer at a layer, and then we have a storage provider API farm in the background. This is a complete enterprise example. You don't need to have load balancer. You don't need to have multiple things there. You don't need to have Kubernetes or ECS even. You can do it from your local machine also, and then move on further if you are a startup. So load balancer, then you have a storage provider API farm, then you have a storage provider engine, and the engine actually keeps on adding the provider. So Aliun cloud provider is the one that I added now. Now we are in the plan of adding up DigitalOcean cloud provider, then AWS, then sorry S3 cloud provider, GCP, and then new in development can come on. The thing is, everyone has to follow a rule, and for this API farm, it doesn't know what the hell or what cloud providers the data is going. Is simply you are asking for a record, it's going to give you a record, and this storage provider engine has to manage and understand from where it's going to pick the record, going to give you the record, and how it's going to retrieve the data or put the data. You can also set up a layer where even the client can say that, okay, I explicitly need to pass it to Alibaba cloud provider. Don't save my data to DigitalOcean or somewhere because I do not have some certain agreement. That also can be done, and that currently is being done in my code. That also it's like that only. Okay, so let me take you to the Alibaba cloud platform, and let me give you a demo here. Let me try login to, and then I will give you a storage provider code demo. Let me see if I am able to log in Alibaba. Sorry, this is my another laptop. This is my Mac. So I'm giving my system on Mac. Oh. I will have some issues, so I'm just give me a moment. So I'm trying to solve this out. Or okay, so what I will do is I can go into the Alibaba cloud platform anytime. But what I will do is I will take you through the documentation at least. So Alibaba cloud storage provider. So the storage provider of Alibaba Cloud is called Object Storage Service. It's almost similar in operation as other storage provider. we'll do a short video and separately put it there later. Pricing is, as I showed you, there are different way. And to implement it, once you create your account, for a free account, we have already given a demo that's on our YouTube site, how to create a free account and how to use it. And this storage provider is free unless that I talked about 5 GB, and the bandwidth is huge to reach there initially. And if you use it as a pay as you go, it's good. We are using it. We are using multiple cloud provider, but this is one. So here you go, there are different white paper which is there, but the best one is developer guide. So there is endpoint, storage class, access, object, bucket, and it talk about everything. And there is API list, and then there is a SDK reference. That is very important for each and every storage provider. If you try to implement multiple storage provider, go and try to find out if there is a SDK written. That will actually uh, um, uh, that will actually fasten your development. So you will not it will not take much more time to implement now, because um, I know most of the language, but for me at this point of time, this project was more a .NET driven for certain region. And then there's a Java also provider which is there, which we are using it separately for the same operation. So you can use multiple provider, multiple platform based on your need, and then you can download this .NET provider from GitHub. So everything would be there. So if you uh, there is a documentation also, and there will be a GitHub provider also. So just let me take you to preface. So you can go here and download the code from this GitHub. Most of the solution provider, cloud solution provider, have their cloud storage provider written. And now what the beauty is that when you go there, most of them will give you some samples and SDK. So it's not big deal to implement. You go into the sample, try to run that sample. That's the first step to start with. Once you run that sample, you are done. Then you can play with the SDK or implement the SDK. Once that SDK is there, you are able to host your file into the cloud. So what we did is, like, we use this Alibaba Cloud Storage Provider and then created a project. Okay, so the first one which we did was is I'll go back to the structure, design structure. Let me see. I should explain you out. Yeah, so here it's interface driven, you see here. So storage provider engine is there, and then the engine has DigitalOcean, Alion cloud provider, GCP and S3, which is going to come up. And I will give you an example with Alibaba cloud provider here at this point of time. So we'll go here. This is the GitHub, and just give me a moment. There we created a simple 3 project. And then there is a filer API. This is a front-end API where if you go into controller, this is just an example project. We have separately created. Our corporate project is a little different than this. If you go into value, which we quickly created for it, and then you see here there is a create bucket. Similarly, there are get files, create folder, store file, and you just have to get those details being picked from your API call in the form data collection. And then once that is done, once that's done, that can be like, see here, we are getting a provider from the client source. Provider can be Alion, your disk storage, or DigitalOcean, or anyone. You just have to pass the provider and let this engine find out what to do. So this is like F1. We simply said new filer, give me a filer for this provider, and then you simply do the operation. Whatever the operation that you do, it will work. So here, if you go into the file handler, we have created interface driven. So this is iFiler, which is the interface, and this interface these are the signature that everyone has to implement. This is a simple mix of interface segregation principle and the scope substitution principle of Solid. And once we give a session on Solid, we'll talk about that. And we'll also try to expand this up to the inversion of control and dependency injection. I'll give you another example on that. So, but here, whatever it was needed for us, we have created it. Okay, so yeah, we are recording devices. So then filer.cs, if you go here, so there is source I have these three sources: Alioun, Disk, DigitalOcean, Blob. So currently is else if, but there are benefit and pros and cons of using FLs, and instead of using FLs, you can directly pass the object or the storage provider object here also. You can save it. You don't have to write the FLs there. But here, because we need it, because we are getting the source token directly, so it was an easy task. So source token is Alioun. Then we say that okay, Alioun file controller, go to Alioun file controller. If the source token is disk, go to the disk file handler. And if the source token is DigitalOcean, go to the DigitalOcean file handler, which you are writing, which you haven't integrated here, but that's integrated internally. So now if I go here, we have a separate folder. That new project keeps on coming. This Filer API, there is nothing to change. The client application which is using this Filer API, there is no change there. They can pass, then keep on using Alioun whenever, like we'll simply say on our documentation page that okay, now DigitalOcean is available. If you need to pass it, you just pass a provider as DigitalOcean. There seamlessly, there will be a seamless transfer between their data and the file. Even if they try to read the older file, it will automatically, the system will automatically say okay, this was from Alioun, it will automatically shift and switch on. So that's feature is also there. um, so now then there is let's say file handler is there. Now we have implemented digital. Similarly, you create a project. So this is for Alioun OSS SDK. So this is simply use that SDK which was there, and now we have did some little bit of change, and we are done with Alibaba Cloud Provider. And here, if we talk about, we have created a facade for Alioun. So Alibaba, there is a facade, create bucket, create empty for the disk storage. So my local disk, or the file that is being stored on the local disk, there is another layer which is written. Disk file handle, same thing. A simple system.io directory.exist and blah blah. And the best thing is that it automatically becomes multi-threaded. You don't have to do anything once you use this Filer API, because now you are using the power of IIAS Apache server to make it multi-threaded, elastic, and horizontally scalable or vertically scalable. So at this layer, it becomes a complete scalable thing. You can put a load balancer, and you can put multiple server. It doesn't care. Every instance has all this alpha, beta, and gamma with them, and they will run separately. And the background, there is the storage provider. Now to use it frugally, you cannot keep on sending all the calls to the cloud provider. So you can simply switch between this cloud provider. So there are chances that you get the data from a cloud provider, put the data into the cloud provider, get the data from cloud provider, let's say Alibaba here. And once you have the data there locally on your server, from the next time you start fetching it from your disk provider. So this thing can be switched on, can be easily used, and can be configured. That will actually save a lot of money that actually your company is investing on the cloud provider. That's the benefit of it. So similarly for Alibaba, you see here, create bucket is there, create empty folder is there, everything is there on the similar platform. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. If you have any question, happy to take that out. Yeah, so yeah, any questions, guys? Uh, I believe you are able to hear me.
Hi, this is Aman. Yeah, thanks, Sanjani. This is really
Hi, Aman.
informative.
Yeah,
I think we have also seen, how to basically implement the API form and then integrate it with this engine. So
yeah.
my question is, just in case we are using, let's say, an interface, an application interface, which is heavy in the data.
Mm-hmm.
So can this be automatically, provisioned to route it to any of the storages, underlying storages,
Yes,
even from
yes.
the hybrid?
Yeah, so you are talking about that if I am using it at the database layer, right? We're talking about that, or
Yes.
okay, so you have a
Yes.
database, and that is in the background is using one storage, right? And you're trying to
Absolutely.
route it on the fly. So there, see, that depends upon the database provider, right? If you're creating a microservice, right, then you will have to route it at the microservice layer. That's possible. But because database is you see, database is more like a application, right? It's a standalone application. It has own data storage own configuration. So if you try to
Yeah.
write it at the runtime, you will have to play with the database code. So in the SQL Server, when I was there in the Microsoft, we used to write a lot of background code for SQL Server services because we had got the explicit understanding of the internal of the SQL Server system. So it's
Sure.
possible, but you need to understand at that layer level to play with it. Like at that point of time, it was sysdts.90 package. We used to use it, and then we used to play with it. So in the background, we would be able to manage multiple things. Even create a SSIS package on the fly, connect to different sources, change the disk. A lot of things can happen. But the biggest benefit, like that, the easiest way for us as a user would be that create a microservice, create a service layer that above it, and then use that database as a provider in the similar manner that we have done. I will give the demo for that also. So now you have multiple provider on the fly, and then the next thing that what we have experimented is try to use as much JSON as possible with a key that can be used so that your system become independent. So once there is JSON, it can easily be moved from one database provider to another database provider. There's no table structure inside, and everything is being handled at the microservice layer. But if you try to create a tabular structure and then try to push it from one layer to one database to another database, you will face difficulty obviously, and then you will have to obviously there are ways to handle that out, but there will be more work to do, more transformation to do. When we do transformation, there's a compute that will charge, right? So once the compute get once the compute engine start charging again, then there will be no benefit of it because now instead of bandwidth, you have started getting a bill on compute. So you will have to see it from those perspective also. The best is that try to build your system in the way that's mostly independent of the tabular form, say the simple table structure, open type of table structure that can be simply ported in the same way into different databases. And most of your data is either in JSON, XML, or in your any specific format that you find it easy to manipulate at the microservice layer. Then what will happen that DigitalOcean cloud provider will become one microservice, Alion cloud provider will become another microservice, and this provider engine will manage that out.
Sure.
I
Thanks
hope.
for the clarification.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay. So good guys. So let's go on to the fifth tier dot. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Please.
This archival
Your
system
voice is
storage
muffled up.
because in archival also.
Your voice is a little muffled up.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. May I know your name, sir?
How about now?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Mohammed. How does archival system works in this application? So archival we also have costing involved in all cloud providers, right? How does this engine handles that?
Okay. So if you need to handle the archival system, you see DigitalOcean cloud provider or Alion cloud provider, right? You can add up an extension into it and put a scheduling in the background. So based on that, either you can expand that interface at a storage provider engine, or scheduling can be internally fixed based on your need or based on the base uses of that cloud platform. So any data which is there on the hot part can be moved to the cold part after a certain time, can be zipped, can be encrypted, and can be moved to the cold on after a certain time. But obviously you will have to add up another layer to it. So that can be scheduled, that can be called from a different cron job or engine. So anyway, it will call the same API farm, but it will call a different API. So that's another extension that you will have to do. There is another way, like many of the cloud provider gives you an option. Azure gives you option. AWS gives you option that after certain duration of time, you can simply put it into a archival or different type of storage. That also you can apply directly because cloud providers are providing that options now. You don't have to do it manually. You can directly schedule that or directly configure that on your cloud system. Okay, better or value? How Alibaba Cloud is better or value for customer? Okay, so see this comment will become vague in terms of I am a user of Alibaba Cloud, and what I see is that I've been using it for months for my company use, and I'm a user of DigitalOcean also. I'm a user of Azure also, and I prefer any platform based on how much stable it is, how much it's easy for me to implement. For Alibaba Cloud, it took me very less time. When I was doing it for Azure, it took me a little more time because there are more complexity added to it. When I was doing it for DigitalOcean, there was a little more time. So it depends upon how, as a developer, as an engineer, how easily you are able to integrate it. Second is the cost. So obviously cost, I gave you an option of the cost here. Um, um, so you see here, there is Alibaba Cloud cost, which is 0 to 5 GB free. So that's where many of us lie as a startup or somewhere. But when you move on, again, you will have to find out and compare how much is $0.0200. So you can compare it, right? INR dollar to INR. Okay, 0.02, 0.15 rupees. And how much does, okay, so how much was zero, no, sorry, sorry, zero, so 1.52 rupees. So in certain case, you see, if you talk about Azure, in the premium is charging you 9.9 rupees per GB. So it's just 1 rupees is 9.9 rupees. So you will have to compare which cloud provider is free, is charging you less at one point of time. And it's again is the same kind of thing that your what do you say, uh, 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 the person who rent your house behaves in the time of hordes, right? If he has more money, he will simply start charging you more for your rental. And if he is in a dire need, he can rent his house at a lower rate. So cloud provider also like a renting agent, right? So you have to find out, and therefore this frugal storage provider comes into picture, because you will have to find out, because you are getting thing rented there, right? So you are a tenant there, right? So, and being a tenant is something we'll have to think about, a frugal option. And if your data gets stored in GB, and so it becomes then another problem. What about security, right? So every cloud provider have a standard security structure, and you will have to judge. So Alibaba Cloud is all every certification that you see Alibaba Cloud has, and there is a separate. Yes, I will come there, Bharat. And there is a separate complete page, and we have also have created a Udemy course on that, the basic course on Alibaba Cloud that you can go and find out. Even you may get coupon if more people would have joined. That coupon is also there, that you will get a free voucher uh, in our courses somewhere. Yeah, Akash. Yeah, give me a time. So Bharat, your question is when it gets down. So that's the benefit. Like once it gets down in your code here, if you come here, you can simply configure. Let me go into that architecture diagram that I created. Just give me a moment. Um, where it was here, right? So you can manage that out here. Storage provider engine, right? If it's down, it will automatically can default up. You can add up an extra extension to it. Where to default? If volume is down, where am I going to put the data on? Or you can directly manage it here. If volume is down, what is the default provider? You see there's a code also I have written it here. If something down, you can simply go here and put a default. So at the top, right? So if there is a exception, some exception is coming, can default to somewhere else. So yeah, so Akash, yes, please. Akash, you were asking some question. Okay, guys. So let me take you to the platform where you can find out the certificate, fifthir.com. Please navigate to fifthir.com, everyone. Are you with me, guys? Put your name, let's say Anjani Kumar, phone number, something, your email. Are you able to hear me, guys? Hello?
Yes, Anjali.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So go to the fifthir.com and then put your email, because certificate will come into the email. And then please accept the term and condition. And the code is, okay, what the code is. So it's MC, MCSP, MCSP. Try out. I will try to find out. Let me try out. MCSP. Let me try out first. Okay, give me a moment then. Just give me a moment. Find out the code for this session. No issues. Okay, the code is, just give me another 1 minute. I will find it out for you. I'm closing out the streams. A lot of things going on and I just forget to keep it handy. Just give me a moment. Okay, so the code is FMCS. FMCS. Just have to put FMCS. And if you don't get the certificate within 3-4 minutes, ping us here at this Telegram channel, which is you just click here and you will be able to go there. And within 24 hours, we'll be sending you the voucher. Okay, so he's taken. Request has been taken, you see. So you can do it. So put FMCS, right? fifthir.com FMCS. It's working here, right? See, you fifthir.com FMCS. You can see on my screen. fifthir.com 5th HTTPS. Let's try. www.fifthir.com. And then you have to see that it's written building a frugal storage provider. Then put your name, phone number, and then next, and then the FMCS. F in everything in capital. FMCS, everything in capital. FMCS, everything in capital. Um, F for fan, M for multi-cloud, C for cloud, S for storage. So it's frugal multi-cloud storage. Initial of frugal multi-cloud storage, FMCS. And once you do that, it will say, it will take your request. FMCS. Anyone facing any difficulty? Just let me know or we'll end up the session. Yes, someone is trying to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. If you face any issue, you can join our Telegram channel anytime. Talk to us. We'll try to help you out. It's there on the page only.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.